Hello, my name is Evgeny Dengub. I'm a professor of Russian at the University of Southern California.
And I am Lori Mesrobian, Associate Teaching Professor of Spanish, also at the University of Southern California. And in this video, we will be sharing a bit about why we ungrade in our classes. So let's begin with our definition of ungrading. Ungrading is the decentering of grades in order to focus on learning, which is where the focus should be. And before we get any further into ungrading, let's take a look at some of the scholarship on grades.
Yes, research proves that grades may not always accurately measure learning, and the grades are not a good form of feedback. So if you give your student just an A or B, that's not good feedback. Also, grades do not enhance academic motivation. Instead, grades enhance anxiety and avoidance of challenging courses. In addition, grades may encourage an emphasis on quantitative aspects of learning, and they depress creativity. And foster fear of failure and undermine interest. On the other hand, providing narrative or written feedback without an associated grade could lead to more positive student experiences.
So what is ungrading? Let's start with what ungrading is not. It is not a one-size-fits-all. So you're not going to take what we say in this video and just cut and paste it into your course. And also, ungrading is not the easy way out, meaning it's not just about not assigning a grade, but rather you might have to invest even a little bit more time or energy into your students, but at the end of the day, any investment that you make is going to be worth it. So what is ungrading? Ungrading is both a philosophy and a set of practices. We still give our students clear criteria, clear rubrics, but these rubrics do not have numbers or letters associated with them necessarily. Ungrading is about giving quality instructor feedback, often narrative feedback. Ungrading is having students do self-reflection about their own learning. It is inviting students to do self-assessment, and that self-assessment can be tied to the final course grade, or it can just be a reflective practice. Ungrading is also utilizing peer assessment. It's an invitation to explore and make mistakes, and that's why we use redos and revisions in our courses, so that students aren't penalized for one bad exam or one bad performance on a given task. Ungrading is about having frequent check-ins with your students, and these check-ins can happen individually or with the whole class. It can happen via email or even one-on-one conferences. And ungrading is still adhering to institutional requirements or program policies. If your institution requires you to submit final grades, you're still going to do that. It's just the route that you are taking to that final grade may look a little different than a traditional graded classroom.
So why we ungrade? Ungrading allows us to focus on learning and the learner. So for us, this is the most important parts of the process, parts of our profession. So we want students to feel comfortable in our classroom, and we want to make them an active agent of the process. Ungrading also allows us to change the power balance. So we are not any longer those keepers of the grade, the mighty people who assign the grade, and students' life depends on this. So we are collaborating with our students in this process, and that's they have an active say in that. And it removes the disciplinarian aspect from the process. So we're not punishing our students for being late or for not submitting the work on time or for not doing the work at all. So we stop being those disciplinarians that again punish students for something they do or don't. Also, ungrading allows us to be more flexible, to take account into new reality. We live in a post-COVID world when people take care of themselves. They don't come to class if they're sick. So, for example, attendance policies changing. So, ungrading helps us to be flexible in this challenging times.
So how can you get started ungrading? Like we said, it's not a one size fits all model, but here's a couple little things you can do to get started. We invite you to do a little self-reflection yourself about why you're grading certain assignments, and find a community. Talk to your colleagues to see what they do in their classes, how they feel about grading. Start small. You don't have to make a revolutionary change in your grading or assessment practices. You can ungrade low stakes elements of your course. You can ungrade one assignment. Ungrade formative assessments. So if the true reason behind these formative assessments is to give the students practice so that then they're building the skills they need to lead to a summative assessment, then give them feedback on that formative assessment, but not necessarily a grade. Experiment with self-assessment and peer assessment. Ask your students what they've learned, how they think they've done in the class, instead of you simply assigning a grade. And really, bottom line, talk with your students. Ask them how grades make them feel. Include them in the conversation about their grade and about your course, because at the end of the day, the reason for doing this ungrading is really to put learning, your students' learning, back at the center of your classroom.
We've been ungrading for years now, and we found this experience extremely liberating and really positive change for us and for our students. So we encourage you to try ungrading and check out other videos on our channel to learn more about ungrading practices. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.